Hello and welcome to News 9. I'm Vaigai Dam. First up, let's take a look at what's happening with regards to China. At least 111 people were killed and more than 230 were injured after an earthquake hit the Gansu-Qinghai border region in China on Tuesday. Now, according to reports by state media, and rescue operations are being held at the affected areas. The European Mediterranean Seismological Center had pegged the earthquake at a magnitude of 6.1. Chinese state media said that the quake was registered at 6.2 magnitude. The quake occurred at a depth of 35 kilometers, that is around 21.75 miles, with its epicenter at around 102 kilometers west-southwest of Gansu's provincial capital, Lanzhou. Officials' reports have been stating that whether there are any missing people in the quake's aftermath is still being looked into, but the rescue services have quickly jumped into action in the location. Initial reports are saying that 111 people have been killed because of the strong tremors that has shaken parts of the Qinghai province. However, we are awaiting more details to come in from the region. It is being said that efforts are on to rescue those who are trapped under the debris. Visuals are coming in, some of them put on Chinese social media sites, of the damage that has been incurred by the city because of the earthquake, the strong earthquake that hit that region. It is being said that it was almost around 6.1 is what the seismological centers have been reporting with regard to this particular earthquake. Magnitude 6.1 earthquake hits the Chinese and this particular region is said to be a little volatile when it comes to the tectonic shifts, but it had been dormant for quite some time, and now this particular earthquake being reported. This particular earthquake has resulted in chaos in the region. Initially, after the earthquake had struck, there are efforts to find out what is the kind of damage that has been reported and whether people have been reported missing. 111 people is what is said to have been killed because of this earthquake, and more could be on the toll front, and the authorities meanwhile are moving through the debris to look for survivors. The local response teams have been put into place by the Chinese authorities, and information also coming in that the Chinese army, the PLA, could also be rushed for rescue operations in that region. Unprecedented heavy rainfall in Tamil Nadu's Tindigal district, triggered by cyclonic circulation, has claimed the lives of at least 4 people, including women in the district. Now, the victims have suffered fatal incidents like wall collapses and falls due to the incessant rains since Sunday. The town of Sivaganga, along with 50 nearby villages, are now cut off by the floods. It has left thousands of them stranded as roads leading to Sivaganga have been completely washed away. There is no power and internet connectivity that has been reported either because of the floods. The NDRF is actively engaged in rescue operations in the inaccessible areas of the southern districts, including Tindigal, Tenkasi, Thoothukudi and Kanyakumari are witnessing heavy rains since Sunday. This has led to major rivers overflowing and disrupted rail connectivity. Thoothukudi has witnessed precipitation equivalent to the average annual rainfall in a single day. Indian Air Force helicopters are deployed for crucial rescue and relief efforts, dropping food items and essential supplies to flood-stranded areas. The 4 districts of Tamil Nadu has bearing the brunt of cyclonic disturbance that was seen in the Bay of Bengal. It has resulted in flooding in many parts of the towns such as Kanyakumari, Thoothukudi, Tirunelveli, and now reports are coming in that at least 50 nearby villages surrounding Srivaikundam has been completely cut off because of the flooding. Roads have been completely washed away, and this has resulted in many of them being marooned in these villages. As of now, efforts are on to get the basic supplies in place. The IAF have been deployed to look into the flood situation in the state. They have been deployed to also get in crucial supplies to those who are stranded because of the floods. The NDRF is actively engaged in rescue operations in these inaccessible parts of the southern districts, including Tirunelveli, Tenkasi, Thoothukudi and Kanyakumari, which are facing the brunt of the heavy rain since Sunday. This has led to major rivers overflowing, and even dams had to be opened to let go of the surplus water that had been collected in them. A total of 92 members of parliament has been suspended for the remainder of the ongoing winter session, scheduled for the end of 22nd December. Ruckus in parliament ensued after the 13 December parliament security breach incident. Breach has led to the opposition asking for a statement from the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. 78 opposition MPs were suspended from parliament within a day, marking the highest number of suspensions from Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The move triggered a strong reaction from the Congress and other parties that accused the BJP government of trying to bulldoze key legislations. 33 MPs are suspended from the Lok Sabha, including Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. This was followed by Rajya Sabha, where 45 leaders were suspended after the opposition refused to budge on their demand for a statement from the Home Minister regarding the breach in Parliament on December 13th.
देश के 92 सांसदों को सस्पेंड करना मोदी सरकार के अहंकार को दर्शाता है कि सरकार का, मोदी सरकार का न संसदीय मर्यादाओं के अंदर विश्वास है, न देश के संविधान और प्रजातंत्र में। वो ये समझते हैं कि अगर उन्हें बहुमत मिला, हम स्वीकारते हैं कि उन्हें बहुमत मिला 3 प्रांतों के अंदर, पर एक प्रांत कांग्रेस भी जीती और एक प्रांत कांग्रेस और भाजपा दोनों हारी। उन्हें ये लगता है कि अब उसके बलबूते पर वो इस देश में संविधान को कुचल डालेंगे, प्रजातंत्र को रौंद डालेंगे और हर वो आवाज जो सरकार से जवाबदेही मांगेंगे उसे संसद से बाहर कर देंगे। ये जान लें कि ये लड़ाई प्रजातंत्र की है और देश के 140 करोड़ लोगों की है। ये जंग जारी रहेगी।
मुझे लगता है आज की सरकार, भाजपा सरकार चाहती है विपक्ष विहीन सदन चले और प्रश्न पूछने के लिए कोई भी विपक्ष का व्यक्ति उनकी गलतियां बताने के लिए, उनकी गलत नीतियों को बताने के लिए प्रश्न पूछने वाला जो परंपरा है इस देश की, लोकतंत्र की, उसको खत्म करने का एक उदाहरण लोकसभा में 47 एमपीज को, पूरे विपक्ष को सस्पेंड किया गया है और आज लगभग 32 से 33 राज्यसभा में सस्पेंड किया गया। एक पहले डेरेक जी को किया गया था। मुझे लगता है 33 से 34 जो रूल अपोजिशन के सांसद हैं उनको आज सस्पेंड कर दिया गया।
सस्पेंशन का क्या मतलब है? आप हमारे एमपीज को बहाल करो और दूसरा होम मिनिस्टर आके यहाँ अपना बताएं कि क्यों हुआ, कैसे हुआ, आगे आप क्या करोगे। बात तो इतनी सी है और कोई बात नहीं है। और आज उन्होंने जितने लोग भी अपनी सीटों पे खड़े थे या थोड़ा आगे आए, आज सबको मेरे ख्याल 30 या 35 लोगों को आज सस्पेंड कर दिया है। तो वो तो खुद ही नहीं चाहते कि सामने कोई नजर आए। और पहले 19 लोग पहले हो चुके हैं, लोकसभा के 18 लोग हो चुके हैं, तो 33 आज आप सोचिए भी, मतलब 51 लोग तो 51 लोग तो सस्पेंड ही कर दिए। तो अपोजिशन में फिर बचा कौन सा? 5, 7, 10 लोग बचे होंगे, वो उनको भी कल सस्पेंड कर देंगे। तो इस तरह की तानाशाही वाली सरकार, तानाशाही का रवैया और बिल्कुल ज्यादती हो रही है। ये डेमोक्रेसी थोड़ी होती है। डेमोक्रेसी में बात करने का तो सबको राइट है।
Well, members of the opposition India Bloc are all set to hold a crucial meeting in New Delhi. This will be the Bloc's first meeting in 3 months, and the opposition will be looking to put forward a strong image of unity, especially after a total of 92 opposition MPs were suspended from the parliament on Monday. With the clock ticking for the 2024 general elections, the focus will be on chalking out a new strategy after the BJP emerged victorious in 3 out of the 5 states in the recently concluded assembly elections. The meeting has been called by the Congress and will be attended by Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, Bihar's Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav, as well as West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Tamil Nadu CM M.K. Stalin, Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal, RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad Yadav, and Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav. The leaders have got a lot of issues to address in the meeting. Top of the agenda was regarding seat sharing, picking a face for the alliance, bridging the inter-party divisions existing within the alliance partners, and coming up with a new offering to the voters. Now, the Congress position in the alliance has taken a severe beating after the dismissal performance in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Taking benefit of the Congress' weak position, regional players like TMC, DMK, Samajwadi Party will be looking to take a big chunk of seats in their respective states. Leaders like Lalu Prasad Yadav, Nitish Kumar and Mamata Banerjee can also be expected to present themselves as the leader of the alliance. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, however, has said that India Bloc's prime ministerial candidate will be decided after the 2024 general elections, and expressed confidence that the alliance will iron out all the issues in order to defeat the BJP. Well, the union government has advised all states to ensure that tighter public health measures are taken to minimize transmission of the COVID-19 virus. The advice comes following a rise in infections in some states, especially in Kerala. The first case of new subvariant of COVID-19, JN1, was detected at 8th December in the southern state, raising concerns about resurgent health risk more than 2 years after India's last pandemic-related lockdown. The union government has asked states to strictly comply with operational guidelines for surveillance of COVID-19 virus and ensure adequate testing in all districts. Following the presence of the new COVID-19 variant in Kerala, the Karnataka government too has made it mandatory for people above the age of 60 and those with comorbidities to wear masks in public. The WHO has considering JN1 to be a variant of interest so far. JN1 has been detected in the United States, China, Singapore and India. The Allahabad High Court is likely to pronounce its judgment on 5 petitions challenging the maintainability of a civil suit pending before a Varanasi court seeking the restoration of a temple at the site where the Gyanvapi mosque exists. Now, the petition filed by the Anjuman Intizamiya Masjid Committee and the Uttar Pradesh Sunni Central Waqf Board have also challenged a Varanasi court order of April 8, 2021 to conduct comprehensive survey of the Gyanvapi mosque. On December 8, Justice Rohit Ranjan Agarwal had reserved the judgment after hearing the counsels of the petitioners and the respondents. Five people were detained by the National Investigative Agency after it raided 19 locations across 4 states in connection with the ISIS network case and busted a highly radicalized jihadi terror group. The raids were carried out at 11 locations in Karnataka, 4 in Jharkhand, 3 in Maharashtra and 1 in Delhi. Last week, the Central Anti-Terror Agencies raided over 40 locations in Maharashtra and made 15 arrests. One of the accused who was arrested was a leader of an ISIS module and was administered an oath of allegiance to the new recruits. We slip into a short break now. News and updates will continue on the other side.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. Another major story that's happening on the international front. The war between Israel and Hamas has now entered its 74th day. Let's get you the latest update from the war front. USA.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Well, the United States says it cannot support a reference to the cessation of hostilities, but might accept a call for suspension of hostilities. These are the updates coming in from the 74th day of war in the Israel-Hamas situation. Meanwhile, the Gaza Health Ministry has said that 4 people have been killed in Farah refugee camp and 19 Jabalia refugee camp as Israel launched attacks up and down on its territory. UN's Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is arriving in Israel for talks expected to focus on Israel's eventual end to its high-intensity war in Gaza and transition to more limited-focus conflict, and is supposed to sit down and have a chat with his counterpart Yoav Gallant. Meanwhile, the CIA Director William J. Burns will meet in Warsaw with Israeli and Qatari officials for talks aimed at restarting hostage exchanges, according to the United States officials. Israeli soldiers continue their operations, meanwhile, inside buildings, firing weapons and flying drones. Hamas says it remains open to any suggestions for a prisoner swap with Israel, but no talks will be held until Israeli bombardment of the Gaza stops. Israel denied targeting a Catholic church in Gaza Strip following reports that 2 women inside the church were killed by an Israeli sniper. But people and teachers uprooted and buildings destroyed, it is likely to be many months before classes can resume. 19,088 number of Palestinians have been killed and 7,729 is the number of children who have been killed in this war. The scheduled vote for a resolution calling for sustainable cessation of hostilities in Gaza has been postponed. The United States has raised objections to the wording and expressed a presence for suspension of hostilities rather than secession. The move following growing divisions within the U.S. administration and concerns about perceived hypocrisy in its global stance on conflicts. The Arab countries negotiating the text have indicated willingness to accommodate U.S. concerns. This shift in the U.S. position is seen as an attempt to find common ground rather than outright vetoing resolutions as witnessed in previous instances. Pressure has mounted on the US after the UN General Assembly's recent vote where a vast majority called for an urgent cessation of hostilities. The proposed resolution condemns all acts of terrorism and urges the unconditional release of hostages. The diplomatic maneuvering reflects frustration within the US over the Israeli government's military tactics in Gaza. The move, if successful, signals a nuanced US approach and highlights the complexities surrounding the ongoing conflict. Stay tuned for further updates on this evolving situation. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took aim at Iran over Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. The Red Sea attacks have showed the ability of Middle Eastern paramilitary forces backed by Iran to upset global trade at a time when Tehran and its proxies are positioning themselves against the United States and Israel. In a joint statement with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv, Austin also vowed to continue to support Israel's fight against Hamas.
America's commitment to Israel is unwavering, and no individual, group, or state should test our resolve. So in the Red Sea, we're leading a multinational maritime task force to uphold the bedrock principle of freedom of navigation. Iran's support for Houthi attacks on commercial vessels must stop. Now, we'll continue to provide Israel with the equipment that you need to defend your country, Mr. Prime Minister, including critical munitions, tactical vehicles, and air defense systems. We'll continue to support Israel's mission to find and free all of the hostages. We must get more humanitarian assistance into the nearly 2 million displaced people in Gaza, and we must distribute that aid better. And we want to thank you for the recent initiatives that you've taken, Mr. Prime Minister. We applaud that, and hopefully that will enable us to move even more in.
Mounting attacks by the Iran-aligned Yemeni Houthi militant group on ships in the Red Sea are disrupting maritime trade as leading global freight firms reroute around the Cape of Good Hope to avoid the Suez Canal. Take a look.
Attacks by the Yemeni Houthi militant group on ships in the Red Sea are forcing freight firms to reroute in order to avoid the Suez Canal. This video was released by the Houthis on November 20th, showing armed men dropping from a helicopter and seizing a cargo ship in the southern Red Sea. The latest attacks came Monday, when the Houthis said drones were launched against 2 cargo vessels in the area. The Iran-aligned Houthi said the attacks are a response to Israel's assault on the Gaza Strip, which Israel launched after the October 7 rampage by Hamas militants. The situation has prompted the United States and its allies to create a multinational operation to conduct joint patrols in the southern Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. In Israel on Monday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said no group or state should test America's resolve.
In the Red Sea, we're leading a multinational maritime task force to uphold the bedrock principle of freedom of navigation. Iran's support for Houthi attacks on commercial vessels must stop.
The attacks have showed the ability of Middle Eastern paramilitary forces backed by Iran to upset global trade. Several major freight companies have begun sailing around Africa due to the danger, and there are signs the crisis is broadening to include energy shipments. The rerouting adds costs and delays, which industry analysts expect to be compounded over the coming weeks. While freight rates will likely increase on the longer voyages, the head of global freight platform Freightos said it is unlikely that rates will spike to the level seen during the pandemic. About 15% of world traffic transits via the Suez Canal, the shortest shipping route between Europe and Asia.
The Israeli army released a video on Monday which it said showed its soldiers fighting in Gaza as US-Israel talks on transition to the next phase of the war got underway. Residents and militants said that there was fierce fighting at the length of the Gaza Strip, with communications down for the fourth day. The videos show ground troops entering buildings and firing various weapons and flying drones, while other video released shows aerial strikes said to be on Hamas targets in Gaza. Well, this grandmother has a simple wish for her twin baby granddaughters, Alma and Salma. They should be in a clean, safe room where they can be bathed. Instead, the infants are living in a tent in a camp for displaced people in Rafah in southern Gaza.
She was born into horrors. When she was born, her grandparents were killed. She was named after her aunt, who was a young woman. They have no one left. It was horrific. The mother was in complete shock when she found herself giving birth 1 minute and losing her family the next. How is this possible? It is hard for the mother. She was not shocked but depressed. The baby couldn't even breastfeed due to the extreme terror and horror she was feeling.
Conditions are extremely difficult. We don't have much to eat, so she is not getting breast milk. The baby gets scared whenever there are airstrikes. She wakes up and cries all the time due to the shaking.
As you can see, these babies don't have a tent or shelter. They haven't been washed since the day they were born. They're a month old now and have not yet been bathed. Do you see the space that they are living in?
We slip on a short break now. News and updates will continue on the other side.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, that US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bengaluru city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bengaluru should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Delhi has the fastest growing metro network among G20 nations. From 6 stations in 2002, it today has 286 stations. Reliability, cleanliness and affordability have set the template for other Indian metros. The architect of this modern-day world-class marvel is E. Sridharan. Watch the extraordinary life of Metro Man E. Sridharan streaming now on News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has won a third term with nearly 90% of votes in an election most Egyptians felt was a foregone conclusion. The former general's previous two terms were marked by crackdown on political dissent.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has won a third term in an election where he faced no serious challenges and garnered nearly 90% of votes. According to election authorities on Monday, Sisi called the result a rejection of the inhumane war in neighbouring Gaza. Some voters said the eruption of conflict in Gaza had encouraged them to vote for Sisi, who presents himself as a bulwark of stability in a volatile region. That argument has also proved persuasive to Gulf and Western allies, who provide financial support to his government. Egyptians voted on December 10th to 12th. The state and tightly controlled domestic media pushed hard to boost turnout in the poll, which the election authority said had reached 66.8%, above the 41% recorded at the last presidential election in 2018. The election featured 3 other candidates, none of them high profile. The most prominent potential challenger halted his run in October, saying officials and thugs had targeted his supporters. Accusations dismissed by the election authority. Many people in the Arab world's most populous country expressed indifference about the election, saying the result was a foregone conclusion. Reuters reporters witnessed voters being bussed into some polling stations and bags of food being handed out, while some voters said they were offered financial incentives. The state media body said any provision of money or goods in return for votes was a criminal offence. Sisi, a former general, has overseen a sweeping crackdown on dissent across the political spectrum since he led the overthrow of Egypt's first brotherhood in 2013.
Oil Minister Javed Oji confirmed a nationwide disruption to petrol stations was caused by a cyber attack. A hacking group allegedly linked to Israel claimed responsibility for the attack that affected 70% of Iran's petrol stations and reported by Iranian state media and Israeli media. The group Vaigai Dam or predatory sparrows stated that the cyber attack was controlled to avoid damage to emergency services and was in response to the Islamic Republic's aggression. Israeli government spokesperson Tal Henrik declined to comment on Iran's claims. Iran's civil defense agency is investigating the cause of the disruptions. The hacker group had previously claimed cyber attacks against Iranian infrastructure. Pakistan's jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan, whose party isn't allowed to hold public rallies, used an audio clip generated by artificial intelligence to address a virtual rally in the first event of its kind in the country. The audio clip, marred by internet disruptions, was played over the AI-generated image, which appears to be speaking during an internet rally of Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party. It drew more than 1.4 million views on YouTube and was attended live by tens of thousands on other social media platforms. The disruption to live streaming fueled transparency concerns about the upcoming elections, with users nationwide complaining of slow internet speed and throttling, a technique telecom regulators use to choke streaming on apps. The Vatican said on Monday in a landmark ruling approved by Pope Francis that Roman Catholic priests can administer blessings to the same-sex couples as long as they are not part of regular church rituals or liturgies.
In a landmark ruling announced by the Vatican on Monday, Pope Francis formally authorized Catholic priests to bless same-sex couples. The radical shift was described as a major step forward by Father James Martin, a Jesuit priest who ministers to the LGBT community.
It's really the first time that there's been any sort of opening to blessing same-sex couples, so it's a big deal.
Monday's announcement marked another significant change made by the Pope in his effort to make the Roman Catholic Church more welcoming. But the new rule made clear that such blessings can only be administered on a case-by-case basis and only as long as they are not part of regular church rituals or liturgies. It also said that it should in no way be confused with the sacrament of heterosexual marriage. Outside St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, Martin Hardwick and his partner Andrew Gibb welcomed the news.
You know, if Jesus said love was love, then love is love, isn't it? We've been together 41 years. So, and we're married. So,
it's about time, yeah. Long overdue.
Yeah.
In Pope Francis's hometown of Buenos Aires, some residents saw the ruling as a measure to fight discrimination.
It is a paradigm shift for the church, and the inclusion of same-sex couples is a change for the church. As Argentinians, we feel proud that the Pope has taken this initiative, because in our country, there are laws that have been accompanying this process of transformation for several years.
Monday's ruling is bound to be opposed by conservatives, who already criticized the Pope when he hinted that an official change was in the works in October, in response to questions put forward by 5 conservative cardinals.
An explosion at an oil terminal in Guinea's capital, Conakry, killed at least 13 people and injured 178 on Monday. The government sources said that the firefighters were working throughout the afternoon to fully extinguish the blaze.
A deadly explosion hit the main oil terminal in Guinea's capital of Conakry on Monday, a senior police officer said. The blast rocked the Kaloum administrative district. It blew out the windows of several nearby homes and forced hundreds to flee, according to a Reuters witness. A thick column of smoke was still visible after firefighters brought the fire under control. Schools were closed and people were urged to stay home. The extent of the damage to the terminal is unclear. Guinea is not an oil producer and has no oil refining capacity. It imports refined products, which are mostly stored in the Kaloum terminal and distributed via trucks across the country. The origin of the fire is unknown, the government said in a statement. An investigation will be launched to establish the cause and determine who might be responsible.
China's economy is expected to see more favorable conditions and more opportunities than challenges in 2024, state media said, citing officials of the Chinese Communist Party's Finance and Economy Office. Take a look.
China's economy will improve next year. That was the message from the country's ruling Communist Party during a key meeting. It expects to see more favourable conditions and more opportunities than challenges in the coming year. The official Xinhua agency provided a detailed readout of the yearly Central Economic Work Conference from last week. It's an event where top leaders set economic targets for the following year. They said macroeconomic policies will continue to provide support for economic recovery. Xinhua quoted officials as saying China's prices are low and central government debt levels are not high. But blockages do persist in the domestic economic cycle as demand, consumption and enterprise investment remain weak. Next year, party officials said China would try to move from a post-health crisis recovery to sustained consumption growth, targeting areas including smart homes, recreation and tourism. China's economy has dealt with tepid growth this year and looming concerns over its debt-hit property sector. Officials said Beijing will monitor its real estate markets and meet what it called reasonable financial needs for property companies.
Well, that's all in this edition of the Bulletin. Stay tuned to News 9 for further news updates.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with